YouTube, what the crap's going on? Just a quick reminder, yes, I'm doing some old school online battles where I don't do the editing. The editing is really fun and I enjoy it. I'm going to keep doing it, but it takes a lot of time. And I'm trying to get stuff recorded for you so that you have stuff to watch while I'm out of town. So, like I said, we're going to do these old school. Let's open up and introduce the armies here. We've got Bretonia, who's being led by the Fey Enchantress on Silvaron. So, should be pretty awesome. We got a couple of Knights of the Realm here on the right flank. A Pegasus Knight in the air, a Wardens of Montfort, which is a poison mounted yeoman here. There are 3 Foot Squires. They're backed up by 1 Fire Arrow Peasant Bowman. And we've also got the Holy Wardens of La Maisontal, my bad. Probably still saying it wrong, but we got the Knights of the Lionhearted mixed in here with the Knights of the Realm. So, yeah, Knights of the Lionhearted and 2 Knights of the Realm. So that is a very heavy cavalry component from the Bretonians. And for the Dark Elves, they're over here camping the hill across the stream. So I guess it's camping season for the Dark Elves. They got a Blackguard of Nagarond and a Cold One Knight holding one flank. There's some Executioners, kind of interestingly positioned here. I mean, why do you position your Executioners right next to a rock face that the enemy can't charge up and over? I mean, just leave your artillery there and bring your infantry down and ready to fight. This is a somewhat strange deployment. Maybe it's just to protect the Reaper Bolt Thrower, but if that's the case, it makes more sense to have your Blackguard up here so a flying unit can't land on it, and then put your other infantry down in the corners. So if you are going to corner camp, think through the corner camping process. Not that I'm trying to be mean, I'm just saying think through what it is you're trying to accomplish here. We got another Blackguard and a Cold One Knight, so a lot of heavy hitting power on the flanks, attempting to stop the Bretonian cavalry, but again, you can see there's plenty of crossing points here. You can get around these units, so they're not going to be able to block everything the way they're deployed here. We're going to see here just the Reaper Bolt Thrower playing games with the Pegasus Knights. The Pegasus Knights, though, it's not a very fun game for them. They are actually taking a fair bit of damage in this process. Bolt Throwers can be a pretty effective anti-large unit, especially when they're on their standard ammunition. They're not going to hit everything, and this is obviously what Bretonia's trying to do here. They're trying to waste the ammo on this Bolt Thrower, because they're a little bit scared to just go dive down on it. Pegasus Knights don't have the best mass. But part of me thinks that it may not have hurt to just come do at least one charge here, because there's nothing that can really pin the Pegasus Knights down too well. They can just fly back off the cliff and get away. You can see Bretonia's going to have to march all the way across the map. This is going to take time, so I'm going to fast forward a little. You just see the Pegasus Knights juking around. The Fey Enchantress comes up, do a little bit of healing. Now, this is still a good trade for the most part for the Bolt Thrower. The Pegasus Knights are not super cheap, but they're basically going to use most of their ammunition and essentially take a Pegasus Knight out of the fight. So it's a trade. I don't know if it's a great trade, but it's a trade here. The Wardens of Montfort are going to come up and start shooting up these Blackguard. Remember, Blackguards do not have shields. And the poison arrows here should be interesting. You can also see that there is a... Ooh, it's going to hurt the Chalice here being used by the Fey, and the Dark Elves didn't even move. Wow, this guy was serious about camping there. Anyway, so the Pegasus Knights waited until they were very weak to charge, and when they did, it wasn't enough to get rid of the Bolt Thrower, but they still got a nice trade there with the Dark Elves taking a beating to that Chalice of Potions there from the Fey Enchantress. Did a ton of damage. It didn't necessarily kill a lot of units, but it did a lot of damage. The Wardens of Montfort now, though, are under fire from that Bolt Thrower, and the Bretonian army is still working its way forward because it had to deploy so far back. So you can see they drive back the Blackguard, and they've brought up a standard Spearman instead. Just fast forward again a bit here. The Fey Enchantress is actually going to come forward and engage these Spearmen. Probably not the best of engagements for her, but she can heal. And she has her Mortis Engine ability here. It's not actually called Mortis Engine, right? It's the Mist of the Lady, I think. So he's probably trying to tank damage and set up the Dark Elves for a charge. You can see Crone Hellebrand coming down here. She's on her Cauldron, and she's going to come down here and use her special ability to make all these units pretty much go crazy. This Gaze of Cain here. But the Bretonians are going to intelligently flee away from that and not let their units get completely wrecked by everything that's going on there. So the Bretonians are going to pull back on this flank and let that ability play its course before they come back in for some more fighting. They've also now got infantry support nearby, which should be good for him, but I mean, there's a Hargoneth Executioner here. But with the range component, the ammo just ran out for the Reaper Bolt Thrower, so now the tables actually could flip if the Bretonnians want. They have a ranged advantage and could push it if they want to. Let's see if they choose to. Look at this. Yeah, that's almost like what it looked like where the Chalice of Potions hit earlier, huh? Man, how cool would that be if that's the Comet of Cassandora Impact Crater? Talk about a one-shot kill. Yeah, so I mean the Dark Elves' insistence on camping here is now going to cost them because the Bretonnians have the ranged advantage. I think the Bretonnians honestly should have just sat back and shot the living crap out of the Dark Elves here. Looks like there was a charge. The Black Guard broke that up pretty quickly, though the Knights are going to get killed. The Bretonnian player needs to micro his Knights of the Realm away from the Black Guard. They did good damage on the charge, all things considered, but still not where you want to be fighting. The Peasants are going to break the charges here. And now the heavier infantry and the Holy Wardens of Mesental are going to come in and do some fighting. I thought these guys were unbreakable. They're not. They really do have good leadership there. Ooh, comes a second Chalice of Potions. And it's going to land right on the Hargoneth Executioners. So some good damage done again. The Fey Enchantress getting engaged in combat, or at least trying to. And as she is, the units around her are going to suffer to the Mist of the Lady. So the Blackguard does get rid of mostly of a Knights of the Blazing Sun, or sorry, a Knights of the Realm. But the other two Knights of the Realm, including the Knights of the Lionhearted, are going to break through. This one, both of them actually have a pretty killer charge bonus. The Executioners were braced, but they'll probably still take some damage at least on that charge there. Crone Hellebron, again, using the Gaze of Cain here to berserker units and get extra damage, but the damage that Bretonnia is doing is starting to mount, and the Dark Elves are not taking the best of it here. With the infantry support now here, the cavalry is hitting hard and causing a lot of damage. You can see here, about half of the Hargoneth Executioner killed. Definitely took some damage for the cavalry, but these cavalry are going to be able to cycle charge that because the Blackguard are too far away to prevent it. And then the regrouping Foot Squires should be able to come get back in the fight. Looks like they were just reactivated as well as the Peasants. And then you can see, of course, the Bowmen able to just sit back and pick away at Crone Hellebron. Ooh, here comes the pinch right here. Youch. Caught between a rock and a hard place right there. Those Executioners are going to die horribly to these Knights. They are completely overwhelmed right there. So they're out. And then again, the regrouped infantry can continue to pose a threat. These archers have already done a chevron's worth of damage, nearly 2. So they're going to pay off. And then here comes the mighty Knights of Bretonnia charging downhill now. Dark Elves punted out of their defensive positions, literally, at this point. And then the Bretonnian infantry coming up from behind now should be able to come reinforce while the flaming arrows of the Peasants try to cleanse Crone Hellebron of her disgustingness. So Bretonnia is on the roll here, and the Dark Elves are paying mightily. The Bretonnians have come to the camp out and they have broken it up. See the Foot Squires coming back in. Say Crone Hellebron going down, and here we're going to see the cavalry just run roughshod all over. Even though this is an anti-large unit, they're just going to charge through and continue to charge damage. I mean, just look at the Blackguard and Agaron, again, just getting booted all over the battlefield because they're not braced. And they really can't brace because they're not going to be able to protect themselves from every direction. Hellebron should do pretty well, actually, against this infantry, despite her weakened state. It's the archers that are really kind of picking away at her slowly, but surely. I think she has missile resistance, too. If I can get the display on her. She's got physical resistance to some degree, but yeah, 25% missile resistance. That's why it takes a while. But Crone Hellebron's going to go down, and the Fey Enchantress here almost goes down. Must have gotten caught up in the Blackguard, so close one there. Blackguard are going to get pinched between 2 cavalry units. They'll survive it, or not. Well, I mean, they would have survived it from a hit point standpoint. They didn't survive it from a leadership standpoint, which is quite obvious there. Nicely done by Bretonnia, breaking up the the camping dark elves there. So camping is definitely something that people still try to do a lot in Total War Warhammer 2 to varying degrees of success, right? I've seen it work well. I had a Wood Elf army earlier that was technically camping. Their infantry sat in the back corner so that I would have to walk all the way across the map while they harassed me with Hawk Riders and Glade Riders. Now, in that case, it's a different kind of camping, right? My infantry is going to camp, and I'm going to gamble on the fact that you don't bring any ranged units. And I didn't, because it's very popular to kind of just rush the elves when they have foot ranged units, right? And I paid for it. So camping, again, in that case, it paid off. In this case, it didn't pay off, because you just sit there static, and your opponent can try and take the initiative. And even though you think you have a good position terrain-wise, it may not work out that great for you in the end. I do hope that you all enjoyed this one. I will be back with more soon. I'm on the road right now, so I'm uploading these while I'm away, out on the road, getting some fun stuff put together. I do hope you all, like I said, are doing well. If you liked this, if you're not the camping dark elf right here, then hit the like button. It'll help other people find it. If you want to subscribe, click the subscribe button, click the bell, get notified of the newest videos. Also, don't forget to go check out my Discord that we created. It's a fun place to come talk to like-minded folks who also enjoy Warhammer. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now.